What's up, guys? Sean 413 coming back after another video, and today I'm going to be doing something that is pretty interesting to me. So I was going on YouTube, as I do, and I found this channel called Sean Chandler Talks About, or Talks Too Much or something. Um, and he did this video where he gave his most favorite movie that he's seen every year he was born. And I just thought that was pretty cool. I love movies, and I guess this channel's turned into a movie channel now. Um, but I have a list here going from the year 2000 to 2019. This is every year I've been alive, and I have my favorite movie um, from each of those years. So, without further ado, we're just gonna jump right into it. And actually, before I get into it, I just want to address, yes, I'm not wearing my glasses. I realized that every time I did a video with my glasses on, the laptop's screen would be reflected into it, and you guys really couldn't see my eyes. And I really don't need them anyway. They're really only to see things far away, but I've just been wearing them for everything. So I don't know. I'm also wearing a hat because I just got out of the shower and my hair wants to be a big old bag of dicks. But anyway, with all that dumb stuff out of the way, let's just jump right into the year 2000. I went with the movie How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, the reason I went with this movie is because it's just one of my favorite movies ever. Not only Christmas movie, but I watch it any time of the year. It's just a great movie, and I know people shit on it a lot because they don't like live action Dr. Seuss movies. Actually, I think there's another one on this list somewhere that actually made it so you can never make another live action Dr. Seuss movie, but I'm jumping ahead. But yeah, I just went with How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It's a great family movie. It's a funny movie. Jim Carrey is one of my all-time favorite actors, so anything he's in is just automatically top tier for me. But yeah, that's my favorite movie of 2000. Now, moving on to 2001, I have Rush Hour 2. Um, I love the Rush Hour series. I think they're making a Rush Hour 4 right now with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. I just think they're fantastic movies. I think they're hilarious. Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker as a duo is something that nobody ever thought they needed, and then we got it, and now we can't live without it. Just the style of movie it is, the comedy, the action. Of course, Jackie Chan's in it, so he's doing it on his own stunts and doing all that crazy flipping shit and Chinese fucking karate shit. Fucking what? And there's Chris Tucker who's attempting all of this, and of course it's Chris Tucker, so he's not really that good at it. He's best at the jokes, but other than that, there's really nothing else that he brings to the table. So moving on to 2002, I have the live action Scooby Doo movie. And me and my friend are actually obsessed with this movie. We listen to the soundtrack on repeat. We watch the movies all the time, and we quote it. Oh my god, we do everything with this movie. I just think it's a really good live action adaptation of a cartoon. I know that Cartoon Network did their own live action Scooby Doo stuff with different actors, but I just didn't really enjoy it. I don't like the live action Cartoon Network movies. I just think because there's not a big enough budget and just the writing isn't really there, and I just thought it was a mess. But the actual Scooby Doo live action from 2002 is one of my favorite movies. The second one is also really good. I don't know if it's on this list, but it's also really good. Anyway, moving down to 2003, I actually have three movies that I couldn't choose from. I had Cat in the Hat, the live action one, School of Rock, and Bruce Almighty. But obviously, me being a big Jim Carrey fan, I obviously went with Bruce Almighty. It's just a funny movie. Jim Carrey, of course, is the best, and then you've got Morgan Freeman as God, just playing himself, and just the comedy in that movie is off the charts. I think that's probably my favorite Jim Carrey movie that he's ever done. Moving on to 2004, we have Spider-Man 2. I also put The Incredibles and Shrek 2 on here, obviously because those two movies are just great. I love The Incredibles, favorite Pixar movie, Shrek 2, favorite Shrek movie. But I went with Spider-Man 2 because it was just the best Spider-Man movie that we had at the time, and it was also one of the best sequels that we had at that time. Spider-Man is, I think, one of my second or third favorite Marvel superhero. I know, blasphemy. But yeah, I just love Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire. I hope he comes back in the MCU as Uncle Ben. Please make it happen, Marvel. But yeah, it's just the action, the comedy. A lot of these movies are pretty similar, and they're ranked for the same things. But anyway, we move on to 2005. I have War of the Worlds. Now, I don't like Tom Cruise at all. I absolutely despise any movie he's in other than this one, War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds is just one of my favorite movies because I love like huge scale and like big monsters and mechanical things and aliens and action and the sound design in that movie. Oh my god, the sound that the tripods make in that movie are one of the most recognizable sounds ever. Here, I'll play a bit for you right here. I don't know how long the sound clip is, but I'll fix it in post if it's not long enough or it's too long. Anyway, War of the Worlds, one of my favorite movies. Tom Cruise is, I think it's the best thing he's ever done. Granted, I've never seen Mission Impossible. I've never seen any of them. I haven't seen the new Mummy movie, but I don't think I have to. I think the verdict on that is pretty settled. But yeah, War of the Worlds was just great. I also have Zathura there. That's just like I keep hearing it's like a predecessor of Jumanji, because they both have the same premise, board game. You get sucked into it. Every turn, something cool happens. Zathura was just a great family movie, in my opinion. Had great action, and I just love the premise that Jumanji and Zathura brought to the cinematic table. Moving on, 2006, we have Monster House. Now, if you haven't seen this movie, I don't know what you're doing with your life. This movie is amazing. When you watch it as a kid, you're just like, oh, it's kind of scary because it's kind of a horror movie and it's animated, so it's kind of funny. But when I watched this movie recently, again, holy shit, it is dark as fuck. The premise of the movie is this old guy gets married to his wife, like really, like in like late, I don't even know, but they get married and they're building a house for them to live in. And during them building the house, his wife falls into a hole and gets buried alive in cement. And he continues to build the house and he lives in it for his whole life. And her soul possesses the house and takes over and just, it's, oh my god, it's crazy that that is a kids movie. But moving on to 2007, we're gonna get a little bit more, I guess, lighthearted. I put Bridge to Terabithia or Transformers. Now, as much as everybody loves Bridge to Terabithia, I had to go with Transformers because, again, with the scale and the sound design, and honestly, in my opinion, I think the only Transformers movie I've seen that I absolutely despised was The Last Night. I loved Bumblebee. I loved all the Transformers movies before that, and I think my favorite Transformers movie is Dark of the Moon, which I think is the fourth one. Don't quote me on that. I don't know the sequel numbers, but I know the names of them. But yeah, Transformers, just because scale. Shia LaBeouf is actually a pretty good actor. I appreciate him. Megan Fox, obviously, you know, me being 7, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so hot. Anyway, 2008, we've got WALL-E. WALL-E was just a cinematic masterpiece that Pixar happened to shit out of its ass. I don't know how they did this. They made a movie about robots falling in love, and 95% of the movie is no dialogue. The only time there's ever dialogue is when they get onto the Axiom in like the middle of the movie and they meet the overweight people on the ship, and that's when all the dialogue happens. But even then, any scene with like Wally and Eve in it by themselves, there's no dialogue. It's just Wally and Eve. Those are the only two bits of dialogue, but you can feel their relationship and their connection to each other. Anyway, moving to 2009, I have a movie that I feel like nobody's really heard about or talked about, and it's just nine, the number nine. Um, and it is a work of art, this movie. It's about these little like sack people that were made out of like potato sack by this old man, and the world is having like an apocalyptic state, but these sack people are alive and they're only like this big or something. But it's crazy, and all the animation in it is great. It's got a lot of voice actors, like famous voice actors in it. Like Elijah Wood, I think, is in it. Jennifer Connelly, John C. Riley. Just the cast is amazing, and just the story behind it was so cool, and just the animation style was really good, and I really loved that. Moving on to 2010, we have Deathly Hallows Part 1. Deathly Hallows Part 1 has actually become my most favorite Harry Potter movie. It used to be Goblet of Fire, but recently I've watched all of them one after another in like 2 days or something. And I think Deathly Hallows Part 1 is definitely my favorite. Um, I love Harry Potter. The only movie I haven't seen was Crimes of Grindelwald because I'm still hesitant to see it because I keep hearing mixed reviews about it. Apparently, it's the worst Harry Potter movie that ever come out. It's actually not that bad. I keep hearing a lot of things. I liked Fantastic Beasts. That was pretty good, but I just don't think you could ever top the universe of Harry Potter that came out in the early 2000s. And really, Harry Potter was the first big like cinematic universe that ever I think really caught interest with people. Like, yeah, you had Iron Man and the Hulk and some of these Marvel movies coming out, but the universe wasn't really being built enough for people to get on board with it. But Harry Potter has always been a great universe for people to dive into in the books. Um, Moving on to 2011, I put X-Men First Class and Real Steel. X-Men First Class came really close to coming out on top on this one because that's I think my favorite X-Men movie um, to ever be put out and released. And by X-Men, I don't mean like Wolverine and Deadpool or Logan or whatever. I mean X-Men, like the whole team together as a team, I guess. First Class was just really good. But I put Real Steel on the list, another Hugh Jackman movie. Well, technically he wasn't in First Class, he made a cameo. But still, Real Steel is about this guy who's getting. It's like it takes place in the very. I guess now it would be the near future. I don't really know what year it takes place. I don't think they ever specify. But it's pretty much just robots fighting each other. It's just robot boxing. It is amazing, and the story's pretty good. The writing is a little off and in some points, but because it's Hugh Jackman, and you have also got Evangeline Lilly is in it, so they really just bring the movie up and just give it a lighthearted feel, and it's pretty good. Moving on to 2012, I obviously have to go with Marvel's The Avengers. This movie is what actually sparked the cinematic universe that we see in the MCU today with Spider-Man and Thor and all of them. The Avengers was the first Marvel movie to ever bring all of those characters and all of these movies and the universe together into one and gave us this lovely baby that will soon become a multi-trillion dollar company. I cannot ever think that they ever thought it would get as big as it did, but holy shit, with Endgame that just came out this year, Far From Home, and all the other movies that came out before that, I don't think anyone in that studio or anyone in the world would ever think that this cinematic universe would ever get as big as it is today. Yeah, I also just love Marvel movies. I'm surprised there aren't more Marvel movies on this list, but I did try to veer off from that because I could have put a Marvel movie from every year. But these are my favorite movies from each year I've been alive, and I don't love every Marvel movie. Anyway, moving on to 2013, we have Pacific Rim. Again, just giant robots fighting monsters, and the sound design is really good in that. The acting and the writing is pretty off in some places. I loved Idris Elba's character, but Idris Elba is just he's just it's Idris Elba. I don't think he's ever done anything bad with anything he's ever done. But yeah, it's just pretty much big monsters, big like budget and sound, and I like that movie. Um, Anyway, moving on, 2014, The Theory of Everything. I actually recently watched this movie, I think like a year ago. Um, and I love space. I love astrophysics, astronomy, the planets, and all that stuff. And Stephen Hawking is one of, I think, actually the most influenced space person, astrophysicist to ever have been alive. May he rest in peace now. But it just this Eddie Redmayne playing Stephen Hawking in that movie was fantastic. I actually think he won an Oscar for it, and thank God he did because he deserved it. Um, and it was just so moving and touching to see his story because I had never actually known a lot about Stephen Hawking before I saw it, but just his whole story was just so inspirational and moving and sad, and it just had all those bits and pieces for a really great film. Moving on to 2015, I have Fantastic Four and Jurassic World. I was gonna say Fantastic Four is a joke, but I can't joke about that movie. That movie was god awful. Everybody knows it, so shut up. We get it. Don't ever make another movie. Well, now that Marvel owns them, please make another movie with John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic and Emily Blunt as Invisible Woman. Anyway, Jurassic World. I had to go with Jurassic World. I love Jurassic Park. Those three movies that came out. I love the Jurassic World movies, even though they don't really get a lot of praise. But I just love Chris Pratt. Bryce Dallas Howard is really good. I love dinosaurs. Actually, Jurassic Park is what sparked my interest for dinosaurs. Fun fact. And just Jurassic World was a really good, like, bringing it back into the light. I'm really excited for the new one that I think is coming out next year or 2021 or something like that. I don't know, but I'll probably do a review on it or something. Um, Moving on to 2016, another Chris Pratt movie, Passengers. I actually went to go see this movie with my parents and Brenna, my little sister, when this movie came out, and they didn't really enjoy it, but I really liked it. I love Jennifer Lawrence, and of course, I love Chris Pratt because Chris Pratt. And again, I love space, and just the whole story was super moving, and I could relate to Chris Pratt's character. I feel like in that situation, I probably would have done the same thing. I'd like to say that, even though that's probably a horrible thing to say. But if it does ever happen and I am in that situation and you're the one that I accidentally, purposely wake up, then I'm sorry. I did it out of love and loneliness and depression. But hey, we live it out anyway. Moving on, 2017, I had Logan and The Shape of Water alongside The Greatest Showman. Logan obviously was a fantastic film and a great send-off to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Shape of Water, I think, won the nomination for Best Movie when it came out. It was a really moving movie. I like that. But The Greatest Showman is just one of my all-time favorite movies, still to this day. I listen to the soundtrack on repeat. I think I know every word to every song in that movie. Hugh Jackman is great. I don't really like Zac Efron a lot, but I think he really did pull out all the stops in this one. Of course, you got Zendaya too, Michelle Williams, I think. And it's just a fantastic movie that does not get enough praise. Moving on to 2018, I have not Infinity War. That's something a lot of people are probably upset about. I had Infinity War in my mind, but recently I watched the movie Annihilation with Natalie Portman in it. And that movie, I still have no idea what it's about, but I love that. I love when a movie gets you thinking about its whole universe and its ideas. And it was just such an eye-opening and weird experience of a movie. And I every time I watch it, I still have no idea what's happening, or I just really need a sequel that explains everything. Give it to me now. Anyway, moving on to this year, 2019, I had How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, which actually, surprisingly enough, I have a shirt of. And I also have Shazam alongside Endgame. Shazam is I think my favorite DC movie. I don't know, Aquaman is pretty good, But Shazam was just one of the best DC movies. I think they finally figured out their formula. It's really good. I love the How to Train Your Dragon series. Obviously, I think I have a poster of it in my room somewhere. Yeah, over there, but you guys can't see it. But Endgame, man. Avengers Endgame. It's the #1 highest grossing movie of all time. It beat Avatar, which has been on that #1 spot for I don't even know how long. I don't even remember when that movie came out, but it's been there for I think a decade now, maybe even a little over a decade. And Endgame just came out on top. It's such a good way to end what is now known as the Infinity Saga. It was a great send-off to Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark Iron Man, great send-off to Chris Evans' Captain America, send-off to Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, even though we're technically getting a movie next year about her. Anyway, I'm going to see it because I've seen every Marvel movie anyway. But if you want to see a review of Black Widow, let me know in the comments below. But it was just a fantastic movie. I think the time traveling stuff was fantastic and played very well. I think they explained the time travel in the movie very well, and just all the characters were great. Professor Hulk was a surprise that I kind of figured was in the movie, but I didn't know how they were going to play him off. But I think they really nailed it. And it's Marvel, man. I mean, and it's the Russo brothers. The Russo brothers have done other Marvel movies like Civil War, The Winter Soldier. I think they're going to come back for the Wolverine. I don't know. They haven't really technically came out yet and said that. But anyway, the Russo brothers are just an amazing directors, and they had a lot of fun making this film, and you can definitely tell as you watch it. Anyway, that does it for my favorite movies every year I've been born. Again, this idea came from Sean Chandler Talks About. Link will be in the description. Go check out his channel and his video. Both of them will be in the description. Definitely, if you love talking about movies like me and him, then definitely subscribe. And just he's a great YouTuber. I watch a lot of his stuff now. I've been catching up. Yeah, that does it for me today. I don't really want to say this, but I'm really hoping I can. But if I don't, then don't get upset with me. I'm hoping to see you all tomorrow. I think I'm going to record another video after this, and then that'll be up by the time you're watching this and the day this comes out tomorrow. So go check that out. I really hope I do it because I don't like saying I'm going to do things. But I'm going to try and keep this and upload tomorrow. I have no idea what it'll be, but I guess if I do upload tomorrow, then we'll find out. But anyway, I digress. Okay, well, I just fucking died. Anyway, that does it for me. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. I hope I upload tomorrow. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.